From a devastating bankruptcy that stripped away his music rights to a stroke that silenced the voice of Chef, Isaac Hayes' personal struggles cast long shadows over his 11 children's lives. While some fought to reclaim their father's legacy in high-profile legal battles, others vanished from the spotlight entirely, and one was born just 2 years before tragedy struck, leaving him fatherless at age 2. Here's what really happened to Isaac Hayes' children. Isaac Hayes III. Of all Isaac Hayes' 11 children, Isaac Hayes III has emerged as the most successful and determined guardian of his father's legacy. Born on June 10, 1975, he watched his legendary father rise to incredible heights and then lose everything to bankruptcy, an experience that would shape his entire approach to business and his fierce protection of intellectual property rights. Isaac III, who goes by the professional name Ike Dirty, followed his father into the music industry but carved out his own distinct path as a record producer. He operates a production company called Chart Control and runs a publishing company called Ike Father, Ike Son Music, a name that clearly honors his connection to his famous father while establishing his own identity. His production credits include notable tracks like Money in the Bank by Lil Scrappy and Drop by the Yin Yang Twins, and he has worked with major artists including Redman, Keith Murray, Too Short, and members of Rough Riders. But Isaac III's most significant role has been as the president of Isaac Hayes Enterprises, where he manages his father's music catalog and fights to protect the family's intellectual property. This responsibility became deeply personal after witnessing what happened during his father's devastating bankruptcy in 1976. When Isaac Hayes filed for bankruptcy, owing over $6 million, he lost not only his home and personal property, but also the rights to all future royalties from the music he had written, performed, and produced. The young Isaac III saw how the music industry could strip away an artist's life work, leaving them with nothing despite creating songs that would generate millions in revenue for decades to come. This childhood trauma of watching his father lose control of his own musical legacy drove Isaac III to become a fierce advocate for artists' rights. In 2024, this mission led him to take on one of the most powerful figures in American politics when he filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and his presidential campaign. The Hayes family discovered that Trump had been using Isaac Hayes' classic song, "Hold On, I'm Coming" at campaign rallies since 2020 without permission, playing it at least 134 times according to their legal filing. Isaac III didn't just send a quiet cease and desist letter. Instead, he demanded $3 million in licensing fees, the immediate removal of all videos featuring the song, and a public disclaimer stating that the Hayes family had never authorized or endorsed Trump's use of their father's music. When Trump's campaign failed to comply by the August 16, 2024 deadline, Isaac III followed through on his threat and filed a federal lawsuit in Atlanta. The legal battle became a major news story, with Isaac III using social media to explain why the family was taking such aggressive action. He stated that Donald Trump represented everything his father stood against, citing Trump's history and divisive rhetoric as reasons why they would never allow their father's music to be associated with his campaign. The case went to court, where a federal judge ruled that Trump must immediately stop using the song, though existing videos didn't have to be removed. Beyond protecting his father's musical legacy, Isaac III has also ventured into the technology world with his startup company Fanbase. This social media platform, which he founded after raising $3.5 million through crowdfunding, represents his response to seeing how Black creators are often suppressed or underpaid on traditional social media platforms. The app allows users to monetize their content directly through subscriptions and donations, rather than relying on advertising revenue that can be influenced by brands uncomfortable with certain types of content. Isaac III has explained that Fanbase specifically addresses the problem of algorithm suppression that affects Black creators discussing topics like Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ rights on other platforms. Notable investors in his company include Snoop Dogg and radio personality Charlamagne Tha God, who recognize the platform's potential to help Black creators capture more of the financial value they generate through their cultural influence. Through his work as both a music producer and technology entrepreneur, Isaac Hayes III has transformed the painful lessons of his father's bankruptcy into a mission to protect artists and creators from exploitation, ensuring that what happened to Isaac Hayes never happens to another generation of Black artists. Heather Hayes. Heather Hayes chose to follow directly in her father's footsteps, but rather than simply riding on the Isaac Hayes name, she built her own impressive career working alongside some of the biggest stars in music history. Born from Isaac's third marriage to Mignon Harley, Heather grew up watching her father perform and knew from an early age that music would be her calling, though she was determined to earn her place in the industry through her own talent and hard work. Her professional breakthrough came when she spent 6 years working under the mentorship of James Brown, the legendary godfather of soul. During this time, Heather served as a featured vocalist, dancer, and choreographer for Brown's performances, learning the craft of live entertainment from one of the most demanding and perfectionist performers in music history. This experience taught her not just how to sing and dance, but how to command a stage and leave audiences wanting more, skills that would prove invaluable throughout her career. From there, Heather's career expanded to include work with an extraordinary list of A-list performers. She worked as a backup singer for Beyoncé Knowles and the R&B group Arrested Development, lending her voice to recordings and live performances. Her dancing and choreography skills led to opportunities with Michael Jackson, where she contributed her talents to the king of pop's elaborate stage productions. She also worked with Sean P. Diddy Combs and Brian McKnight, demonstrating her versatility across different styles of music and performance. In 2004, Heather decided to step out from behind the superstars and form her own group, the Heather Hayes Experience. She assembled a 10-piece ensemble of Atlanta's most experienced musicians, many of whom had their own impressive credentials, having recorded and toured with artists like Madonna, Cameo, Bobby Brown, George Clinton, India Arie, and Whitney Houston. The band quickly gained a reputation for high-energy performances that spanned everything from classic soul hits to modern chart toppers. The Heather Hayes Experience became known for their elaborate shows featuring multiple costume changes, horn sections, and choreographed dance routines that showcased Heather's background working with major stars. Their performances have been described by audiences as spectacular entertainment that gets everyone dancing, from toddlers to seniors. The band has performed for A-list celebrities including Ben Affleck and Jennifer Aniston, and has shared stages with established acts like the Commodores. Despite growing up as the daughter of a music legend, Heather made a conscious decision during her school years to keep her famous parentage private. While attending performing arts school, she deliberately chose not to let anyone know she was Isaac Hayes' daughter because she wanted to be recognized for her own abilities rather than her family connections. Her father supported this decision and encouraged her to pursue whatever path made her happy, never pressuring her to trade on the Hayes name. Heather has spoken in interviews about her father's humble nature and how he never forgot his difficult beginnings, even after achieving worldwide fame. She recalled how he would tell stories about times when he was homeless and had to eat from garbage cans, experiences that kept him grounded and connected to his humanity throughout his success. In recent years, Heather has become part of a special group called the Daughters of Legacy, which brings together the daughters of legendary soul artists including Millie Jackson, Betty Wright, and Chaka Khan. In this group, each performer presents the music of their famous parent, creating a unique concert experience that celebrates the golden age of soul music while showcasing the next generation of talent. Through this collaboration, Heather has found a way to honor her father's musical legacy, while continuing to establish her own artistic identity in the entertainment world. Nana Kwajo Hayes. Nana Kwajo Hayes represents both the joy and tragedy of Isaac Hayes' later life, arriving as a blessing when his father was 63 years old, but losing him far too soon to ever truly know the legendary musician who gave him such a meaningful name. Born on April 10, 2006, Nana weighed 8 pounds and 5 ounces when he entered the world as Isaac's youngest child and his first son with his fourth wife, Adjoa Hayes. The choice of his name carried deep significance that reflected Isaac Hayes' connection to his African heritage and humanitarian work. In the Ghanaian language, Nana means king, while Kwajo, pronounced Kwojo, means boy born on Monday. The fact that April 10, 2006, actually fell on a Monday made the name even more perfect and meaningful. This wasn't just a random selection of African names, but rather a deliberate honoring of Isaac's relationship with the West African nation of Ghana. Isaac Hayes had developed a profound connection to Ghana through his humanitarian efforts throughout the 1990s. His work helping to improve literacy and education in the country was so significant that in 1992 he was crowned as an honorary king of the Ada district of Ghana. This recognition came not from his musical fame, but from his genuine commitment to improving the lives of people in the region through his charitable foundation and personal involvement in development projects. The timing of Nana's birth came during a particularly complex period in Isaac Hayes' life. Just 2 months before his son was born, Isaac had suffered a stroke in January 2006 that significantly impacted his health and cognitive abilities. He was still recovering from this medical crisis when Nana arrived, and the stroke had already begun affecting his ability to speak clearly and make important decisions about his career and personal affairs. Despite his health challenges, Isaac embraced fatherhood again at this advanced age with his wife Ajoa, who was significantly younger and brought energy and care to their household. The couple had married in May 2005, and Nana represented their hopes for the future and the continuation of the Hayes family legacy. Isaac's spokesman at the time described the family's joy at Nana's arrival, emphasizing how much the new baby meant to both parents. Tragically, Nana's time with his father was heartbreakingly brief. Isaac Hayes died on August 10, 2008, at his home in Memphis, Tennessee, from complications related to his ongoing stroke recovery. Nana was only 2 years and 4 months old when he lost his father, far too young to form lasting memories or truly understand who Isaac Hayes was beyond being the man who loved him. At the time of Isaac's death, Nana became one of 11 children left behind, along with 14 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. The loss meant that Nana would grow up knowing his father only through stories, music recordings, and the memories that his mother Ajoa and his older siblings could share with him. Today, Nana is a teenager who has grown up in the shadow of his father's immense legacy while being raised primarily by his mother. Unlike some of his older siblings who have actively worked in the music industry or fought legal battles over their father's estate, Nana has remained largely out of the public eye, living a more private life as he navigates his teenage years without the father who gave him such a royal name but couldn't stay long enough to help him live up to its meaning. Jackie Hayes. Jackie Hayes has taken on one of the most important, yet invisible roles in preserving her father's legacy, serving as co-executor of Isaac Hayes' estate, while deliberately choosing to stay completely out of the public spotlight that has defined so much of her family's life. As Isaac's eldest daughter from his first marriage to Dancy Hayes in 1960, Jackie witnessed her father's entire journey from struggling session musician to international superstar to bankruptcy and back again. Being named co-executor of the estate alongside her half-brother Isaac Hayes III placed Jackie in a position of enormous responsibility and trust. This legal designation means she shares equal authority in making decisions about how Isaac Hayes' music catalog is managed, how his business affairs are handled, and how his intellectual property rights are protected and monetized. The role requires her to work closely with record labels, publishing companies, licensing agencies, and legal teams to ensure that her father's musical legacy continues to generate income for the family while being properly represented in the marketplace. The decision to name Jackie as co-executor was particularly significant given that Isaac Hayes had 11 children from 4 different marriages, creating a complex family dynamic where not everyone might have the same priorities or vision for how their father's legacy should be managed. By choosing his eldest daughter to share this responsibility with Isaac III, Isaac Hayes demonstrated his trust in Jackie's judgment and her ability to handle the complicated business and legal matters that come with managing a major musical estate. Jackie's approach to this role has been markedly different from her half-brother's more public strategy. While Isaac III has become the visible face of the Hayes family's legal battles, appearing in media interviews and using social media to publicize their fights against unauthorized use of their father's music, Jackie has remained entirely behind the scenes. She has given no interviews, made no public statements, and maintained complete privacy about her work managing the estate. This choice to remain out of the public eye appears to be deliberate and consistent with how Jackie has lived her entire adult life. Unlike some of her siblings who pursued careers in entertainment or chose to speak publicly about their father's legacy, Jackie has maintained strict privacy about her personal life, her career outside of estate management, and her opinions about the various controversies that have surrounded the Hayes family over the years. The contrast between the two co-executors highlights different approaches to protecting their father's legacy. Isaac III has chosen to be aggressive and public, filing high-profile lawsuits and making media appearances to ensure that Isaac Hayes' music rights are respected and properly compensated. Jackie, meanwhile, appears to focus on the quieter but equally important work of day-to-day estate management, handling the business relationships and administrative details that keep their father's catalog properly organized and profitable. Her role likely involves reviewing licensing requests, approving or rejecting proposals for how Isaac Hayes' music can be used in films, television shows, and advertisements, and working with financial advisors to ensure the estate's assets are properly invested and managed. She also probably participates in decisions about reissuing classic albums, authorizing tribute projects, and determining which business ventures align with their father's values and artistic vision. Jackie's choice to maintain complete privacy while handling such significant responsibilities demonstrates a level of dedication to their father's legacy that doesn't require public recognition or credit, focusing entirely on ensuring that Isaac Hayes' musical contributions continue to be properly managed and respected for future generations. Vincent Eric Hayes, Melanie Mia Hayes, and Nicole A. Hayes, Merle. Vincent Eric Hayes, Melanie Mia Hayes, and Nicole A. Hayes, who later became Nicole A. Hayes Merle, after marriage, experienced both the highest highs and lowest lows of their father's career during their formative years, living through his Academy Award triumph and then watching their family lose everything during his devastating bankruptcy. Born from Isaac Hayes' second marriage to Emily Ruth Watson, which lasted from November 24, 1965, until their divorce in 1972, these three children witnessed their father's transformation from struggling songwriter to international superstar during the most crucial period of his career. The timing of their childhood coincided perfectly with Isaac Hayes' meteoric rise to fame. They were young when their father began his breakthrough success with the album Hot Buttered Soul in 1969, and they watched him become a household name with the release of the Shaft soundtrack in 1971. For these children, seeing their father win the Academy Award for Best Original Song became a defining memory that would stay with them for decades. Melanie, who was born as Melanie Mia Hayes, has been the most vocal of the three siblings about her pride in their father's achievements. In a 2016 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, she reflected on that historic night at the Academy Awards, saying she remains as proud of her father today as she was the very first time she saw him perform. Her words carry special weight because she was actually present during Isaac's peak years, unlike some of his younger children who were born after his commercial success had already begun to decline. The children from this second marriage had front-row seats to their father's most creative and successful period, but they also experienced the devastating crash that followed. In 1976, when Vincent, Melanie, and Nicole were still young, they watched their father file for bankruptcy after accumulating debts of over $6 million. The financial collapse was total and traumatic for the entire family, as Isaac Hayes lost not just his money but also his Memphis mansion, most of his personal possessions, and most crucially, the rights to all future royalties from the music he had created during his most successful years. For children who had grown up in luxury, surrounded by the trappings of their father's success, the bankruptcy represented a complete upheaval of their world. They had to adjust to a dramatically different lifestyle as their father struggled to rebuild his career and finances from scratch. The loss of royalty rights meant that even as Isaac Hayes' classic songs continued to be played on radio stations and used in movies and television shows around the world, the family received no income from this ongoing success. The experience of living through both triumph and financial ruin during their childhood appears to have shaped these three siblings' approach to their adult lives. Unlike some of their half-siblings who have pursued careers in entertainment or taken public roles in managing their father's legacy, Vincent, Melanie, and Nicole have largely chosen to maintain privacy about their personal and professional lives. Nicole A. Hayes eventually married and became Nicole A. Hayes Murrell, but she has kept details about her career and family life away from public attention. Similarly, Vincent Eric Hayes has maintained a low profile throughout his adult life, avoiding interviews and public appearances related to his father's legacy. The three siblings from Isaac's second marriage represent a unique perspective within the Hayes family, having been old enough to truly understand and remember both the glory years and the devastating financial collapse that followed, experiences that shaped their understanding of both the rewards and risks that come with fame in the music industry. Veronica Hayes and Felicia Hayes. Veronica Hayes and Felicia Hayes represent perhaps the most private and mysterious branch of Isaac Hayes' family tree, having successfully maintained complete anonymity throughout their adult lives, despite being the daughters of one of the most recognizable voices in American music history. Born from Isaac's first marriage to Dancy Hayes, which began in 1960 when Isaac was just 18 years old, these two daughters experienced their father's earliest struggles in the music industry before he achieved any significant fame or financial success. As Isaac's oldest daughters, Veronica and Felicia lived through their father's most uncertain years, when he was working as a session musician at Stax Records in Memphis, earning modest wages while trying to establish himself in an extremely competitive industry. During their early childhood, Isaac Hayes was not yet the Black Moses or Oscar-winning composer he would later become, but rather a young man trying to support his growing family while pursuing his musical dreams in the segregated South of the 1960s. The timing of their birth meant that Veronica and Felicia experienced a very different version of their father than his later children would know. They knew Isaac Hayes before the gold chains, the elaborate stage shows, the luxury cars, and the international fame that would define his public image. Instead, they witnessed his daily struggles, his determination to succeed, and his gradual development as both a songwriter and performer during the crucial early years of his career at Stax Records. Their parents' marriage ended in divorce sometime during the mid-1960s, before Isaac achieved his breakthrough success with Hot Buttered Soul in 1969. This means that Veronica and Felicia experienced the dissolution of their parents' relationship during a period when their father was still fighting to establish himself professionally, adding personal upheaval to an already challenging time in the family's life. Unlike many children of celebrities who either embrace the entertainment industry themselves or become public figures through their association with their famous parent, Veronica and Felicia made a deliberate choice to live completely private lives. They have never given interviews to newspapers or magazines, never appeared at public events honoring their father's legacy, and never used social media to share memories or thoughts about growing up as Isaac Hayes' daughters. This level of privacy is particularly remarkable given the intense media attention that has surrounded the Hayes family over the decades, including coverage of Isaac's bankruptcy, his multiple marriages and divorces, his involvement with Scientology, his departure from South Park, and the various legal battles over his musical legacy. Despite numerous opportunities to speak publicly about their father or capitalize on their connection to his fame, both sisters have consistently chosen to remain completely out of the spotlight. Their absence from public records, entertainment industry databases, and media coverage suggests that they may have deliberately chosen careers and lifestyles that have no connection to the music or entertainment industries. This decision to maintain such complete privacy may reflect their desire to be known for their own accomplishments rather than their famous father, or it could represent a protective response to the various controversies and financial difficulties that marked Isaac Hayes' later career. The fact that both sisters have maintained this level of anonymity for decades, even as their father's legacy has been extensively documented and celebrated, demonstrates a remarkable commitment to living life on their own terms, completely separate from the fame and recognition that defined so much of the Hayes family experience. Darius Hayes. Darius Hayes has chosen one of the most challenging paths available to any child of a celebrity: complete anonymity in a world that constantly seeks to capitalize on famous family connections. As another child from Isaac Hayes' second marriage to Emily Ruth Watson, Darius grew up alongside his siblings Vincent Eric and Melanie Mia during the most turbulent period of their father's career, witnessing both the incredible heights of Oscar-winning success and the devastating depths of bankruptcy that would reshape their family's entire future. Born during the period between 1965 and 1972, when his parents were married, Darius experienced his childhood during Isaac Hayes' transformation from session musician to international superstar. He was present during the golden years when his father dominated the charts with albums like Hot Buttered Soul and Black Moses, and he lived through the historic moment in 1972 when Isaac Hayes became the third African American to win an Academy Award for his theme from Shaft. However, unlike his sister Melanie, who has spoken publicly about her pride in witnessing their father's Oscar triumph, Darius has never shared his memories of those extraordinary times with reporters, interviewers, or the public. He has maintained complete silence about what it was like to be a child in the Hayes household during the peak years of his father's fame, when Isaac was performing elaborate concerts with 50-piece orchestras and living a lifestyle of almost unimaginable luxury and excess. The silence becomes even more remarkable when considering that Darius also lived through the traumatic bankruptcy of 1976, when he would have been old enough to understand the severity of what was happening to his family. At an age when most children are forming their most lasting memories, Darius watched his father lose their family home, valuable possessions, and most devastatingly, the rights to all the music that had made Isaac Hayes famous and wealthy. This childhood experience of extreme financial upheaval, combined with his parents' divorce in 1972, meant that Darius experienced multiple major life disruptions during his formative years. The combination of his parents' separation and the later financial catastrophe that stripped away the family's security would have profoundly impacted any young person's worldview and future choices. The fact that Darius has chosen to remain completely out of the entertainment industry, despite growing up surrounded by music and having first-hand access to the inner workings of the recording business, suggests a deliberate rejection of the lifestyle that defined his childhood. While some of his siblings found ways to build careers in music or entertainment, Darius appears to have concluded that he wanted no part of an industry that he had seen bring both incredible success and devastating failure to his family. His commitment to privacy has been so complete that there are no public records of his career, no social media presence, no interviews, and no appearances at family events that might be covered by entertainment media. This level of anonymity requires constant vigilance and careful life choices, especially given the ongoing public interest in Isaac Hayes' legacy and the various legal battles and tributes that continue to generate media coverage about the Hayes family. Darius Hayes represents the path of complete separation from his father's public legacy, choosing instead to build a life entirely removed from the fame, music industry connections, and ongoing business interests that continue to define much of his family's public identity decades after Isaac Hayes' death in 2008. Nikki Hayes and Lily Hayes. Nikki Hayes and Lily Hayes have mastered the art of invisibility in an age when privacy has become nearly impossible to maintain, especially for the children of one of the most iconic voices in music history. These two daughters of Isaac Hayes have successfully avoided virtually all public attention throughout their adult lives, creating a level of anonymity that is remarkable given the ongoing media interest in their father's legacy and the various legal battles, tributes, and controversies that continue to surround the Hayes family name. The exact details of when and from which marriage these two daughters were born remain somewhat unclear in public records, which itself demonstrates how effectively they have managed to keep their personal information away from the entertainment press and celebrity media that typically document every aspect of famous families' lives. This lack of readily available biographical information suggests a deliberate and sustained effort to maintain privacy that has lasted for decades. Unlike some of their siblings who have found ways to honor their father's memory through music careers, estate management, or public statements about his legacy, Nikki and Lily appear to have made a conscious decision to have absolutely no involvement in preserving or promoting Isaac Hayes' musical contributions to American culture. They have not participated in tribute concerts, anniversary celebrations, or documentary projects about their father's life and career. Their absence from public life becomes even more striking when considering the numerous opportunities they would have had to step into the spotlight if they had chosen to do so. Isaac Hayes' influence on soul music, his groundbreaking film soundtrack work, his Academy Award win, and his later career as the voice of Chef on South Park have all been subjects of extensive media coverage, retrospective articles, and entertainment industry celebrations that would typically include interviews with surviving family members. The fact that neither Nikki nor Lily has ever been quoted in any major publication, appeared in any documentary about their father, or maintained any discoverable social media presence suggests a level of commitment to privacy that goes far beyond simply preferring to stay out of the limelight. This appears to be a deliberate lifestyle choice that requires ongoing effort and careful management of their personal and professional lives. Their decision to remain completely separate from their father's musical legacy also means they have not been involved in the various legal disputes that have occupied other family members, including the recent high-profile lawsuit against Donald Trump's presidential campaign for unauthorized use of Isaac Hayes' music. While their siblings have fought to protect their father's intellectual property and ensure proper compensation for his work, Nikki and Lily have chosen to remain entirely uninvolved in these battles. This level of separation from the Hayes family's public activities raises questions about what their own career paths and personal interests might be, but those questions remain entirely unanswered due to their successful efforts to maintain complete privacy. They may have chosen professions that have no connection to entertainment, music, or media, allowing them to build lives and identities that are entirely separate from their famous father's legacy. The sustained nature of their privacy, maintained even after Isaac Hayes' death in 2008, demonstrates a remarkable consistency in their approach to living life away from public attention, suggesting that this choice reflects their fundamental values rather than temporary circumstances or specific concerns about media coverage.